Hello, fellow netizens. Today is the 3rd of April, 2012. I've got to make a comment about Obama's words yesterday. Anyway, I'm coming to you by way of the internet from Ellensburg, Washington. And so I'm going to comment on this article I'm reading. I'm out on the, some of you are going to not like this, but I like to go out to the Alex Jones website to get some of my news. I don't agree with everything this guy, uh, represents, but sometimes he's right on target. Well, I'd say more than half the time, Alex Jones is right on target, and so I overall I do appreciate his news, though it's unconventional in how it's delivered and such, and so it's not well responded to by a lot of people. Because he's a real character, actually. But and he's got a personality that actually conflicts with my own. I mean, the guy he just kind of rakes on, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. But at the same time, I appreciate what he's doing far more than I do like Rush Limbaugh, who's just a lying piece of, well, I don't have much respect for Republicans, but neither do I have much respect for the Democrats, and that's why I appreciate Alex Jones, because he comes right out and says the same things that I've said. That there's really only one party in America, and that's the corporate elite, and that the Democrats and the Republicans are just false teams on the field, and it's all a fixed game to keep us preoccupied and redirecting our frustrations back and forth. And we'll talk about that in just a moment, but because there's something I want to really talk about here. But anyway, what happened was Obama made a comment out on the lawn of the White House, and well, here's two sentences from the article, one short paragraph. According to the president, it would be, quote, unprecedented, unquote, for the Supreme Court to overturn his health care law. His preemptive strike against the Supreme Court should worry more people than opponents of Obamacare. In other words, the issue of how Obama is behaving and responding to the Supreme Court decision is of far greater concern than the actual healthcare legislation that he's promoting. It's his behavior and how he flaunts and abuses the constitutionality of this country. And the article's right on target. I mean, that's Obama. I don't know how to say this other than his true colors really are shining through here. And I gotta say, I've had some good friends who are black in the past, and they've been true and good friends. But the color that this president represents is truly ugly. Truly ugly. This guy is not an American. And it's, anyway. People, you need to go out and read this. Go out and read this, the comments that are being made and what he actually said. His actual words were to this effect, and this is taken out of context, but, quote, well, he was concerned that, quote, unelected group of people would somehow overturn his duly constitutional and passed law. In other words, the Supreme Court justices are not elected; they're appointed, and because of that, he doesn't think he should be responsible to their decisions. I mean, this is Hitler and Pol Pot all over again, folks. This is truly some uh, unconstitutional and un-American behavior, and it's from our actual president in our government. I mean, the issue at hand here, the real issue, when you put all of the other fluff aside, the real issue here is that Obamacare forces people uh, to pay for, to obtain and pay for health care insurance. And, that goes against everything that this country represents. Independence is the right to choose. Ultimately, that's what independence means, that we as individuals have a right to choose our own way. And if we set this precedence for health care, where's it going to stop? Because it does set a precedence. If it were enacted and became law, we will soon have the other insurance companies outside of healthcare demanding that we must obtain and pay for their insurance policies too. So, renter's insurance, by God, it's now a law. You have to go, that's, liability insurance for your home. Some people choose not to have liability insurance. Somebody stumbles and, breaks their leg, they can sue and lose their house. Well, fine. If you want to not have liability insurance, that's okay. If you want to risk losing your home, um, um, that's, I don't know how to explain this to people. Independence was intended as a word that represents our freedoms, our right to choose. And Obamacare takes away those rights. And it represents a precedence that will take a lot of our other rights away. And so, yeah, I'm opposed to it. Absolutely. Anyway, that's what's at the heart of this Obamacare legislation. It's that it takes away our rights and our freedoms. And that's why there's so many people against it, both Republicans and Democrats, or I should say the left and the right. It's not. Anyway, let's go back to the single party in the fixed game scenario of the Republicans and the Democrats. In the previous video, I told you that the Democrats and the Republicans are both owned by the same, essentially by the same owner, and there's only one real party, and that's the corporate elite in America. They own our government, and our government acts on behalf of them rather than the people themselves. And what's going on here is that Obama intentionally made this statement because he's gone about as far as he can in eroding the laws here in the United States. And the owners of the two teams realize that. And so they have instructed him to intentionally make statements like this so that the people will next vote for a Republican, the alternative. And what we'll get is another president that's really owned by the corporate elite. And both that new president and Obama are doing the same will of the one owner in the long-term erosion of the freedoms in America. And that Republican will, because everybody thinks he's new and the greatest, he'll do the same thing Obama did, which is he'll go back on his word, and he will, because he's a new president and the people will give him some leeway, that new president will then erode the freedoms even more, and backstab us again. And it'll just keep going back and forth like this between Republicans and Democrats until we take our frustrations out on the real root cause of the corruption in America, and that's the corporate elite. So anyway, I believe that what's going on here is Obama intentionally made this comment that he was instructed to by his puppet masters, because he's not going to be our next president. I can tell you that right now. I can read behind these words, and he's just creating an environment where the people will act against him and redirect their unhappiness by selecting a Republican the next time, and then we'll just keep going back and forth like that. And each of those presidents, because they're under the ownership of the single owner, uh, uh, our aggressions and our frustrations aren't making it to the place where they need to be, and we're just being played like a ping pong ball between two players who neither one of them really want to win or lose. That's not what the game is to them. Both of them are really, really intent on squishing the ball, and that's unfortunate that people can't see this. Peace on earth, goodwill towards men.